Hello, people. It's your boy Osman back again with another show of the topic. We're back. And Joe is currently got his title. It's gonna. This one, I can tell you already. If you're joining us, make sure you get yourselves involved in the comments. Drop a like. Subscribe to the channel because we are getting very close to 1K. We want to try and hit that in the near future. But like I said, get your comments in. If you're watching on Twitch, if you're watching on Twitter, get yourself over to YouTube and subscribe. It's completely free. Not free. Free. Anyways, let's introduce our guests. We got Barry, Joe, and Kojo. How are we doing?
Unreal.
Good.
Hello.
Phenomenal.
Good, man.
Phenomenal.
Yes, love to hear that. In case you haven't seen it on Twitter, basically the topic for today is Manchester United's greatest Premier League 11.
Osman,
Yes,
just while we're talking this, can you just point out who won the last time we did a greatest? It was greatest forward. I don't know if you can point to him on the screen. Barry, would you actually want anyone? Would that be okay if Barry said it?
I think it was you, mate.
What, me? Was it me? Oh, that's right. It was me. It was.
I think it was you.
And who came on it?
Barry, what position did you come again? Sorry.
Yeah.
Joe, I can't remember who won. I think it was me.
No, Barry. I can 100%. It's all coming back to me now. I can 100% attest. I came number one, and Barry, I believe you came 4th out of 3 people.
Oh my God!
No,
the funny thing is,
it's the Irish winner that comes 4th out of 3 people.
Wow. You love to see it. We've already got a comment here from Eat Sleep United Repeat. Love that. Also, just add subscribe to that and move there. He thought, hello, gentlemen. Hello, mate. Hopefully you're doing well. Like I said, get your comments in. I want to see people commenting who is in their team. And don't just agree with these guys, because what do they know? And let's be real. What do they know?
Nothing. Very little. Yeah.
All right. Let's get into it. Obviously, manager of the Premier League has to be David Moyes, so that's a no-brainer.
Clearly.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Let's get into the goalkeeper. I was thinking about this, and I didn't know it. There's a few claims in here. It'll be interesting to see what you've got to say. No, Barry, we'll start with you because obviously you finished last. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm joking. Who are you going for? Who's
right? Well, for me, the goalkeeper was a difficult choice between Massimo Taibi and Schmeichel. I think if you look in the Premiership era, we've had 2, maybe 3 magnificent goalkeepers.
Yeah.
Peter Schmeichel, Edwin van der Sar, and of course more recently David de Gea.
Yeah.
To look at the complete goalkeeper out of those 3, I think it must be the Dane, Big Peter Schmeichel. A massive presence, loved the way he marshaled the defense, good on the ground, brilliant distribution, complete keeper, arguably the greatest goalkeeper ever. So I would go for Pete.
Wow, big words there. Arguably the greatest goalkeeper ever. Just to add before we obviously go into the other positions, so you guys know, it's strictly 4-4-2. Obviously, what we are notoriously known for. Right, he's gone for Peter Schmeichel. Joe, who are you going for, mate?
I am going for someone, and like we said, we're quite blessed that since the Premier League era, we've been lucky enough to have 3 magnificent goalkeepers, especially when we need them now. We did have like a spell of like 5 years where it was misery in goals, but we got through that. And for this reason alone, I'm going to go for a goal who might surprise you a little bit, but Champions League winner, multiple Champions League winners, so I'm going to talk about it straight away. Did it everywhere, but at United, he was more than solid and played until his 40th year, which included getting to 3 Champions League finals. It's Edwin van der Sar. For everything he brought in, same thing what Barry's saying about Schmeichel, I would say the only thing van der Sar has over Schmeichel is just that he did it longer. And he did it at the highest level completely. While when Schmeichel, I know we're just talking about United, but his career as a whole, Schmeichel fell off after United. He went to Sporting Lisbon, Villa, City. But with van der Sar, it was the top, bar a little spell, a year or 2 in Fulham. It was Champions League football. It was winning titles. He is the longest unbeaten, longest clean streak, whatever it is, 1,045 minutes, whatever it is, without conceding a goal. I can't really look past that. And it was in our most era of football, which was when I was alive and enjoying football. So it has to be Van der Sar.
Right, we've got one comment here agreeing with you, saying Van der Sar. We've got another comment agreeing with
He's a
Barry,
smart person.
saying the big Dane for me. So we got 1 for 1. But Kojo, where are you going? So what are you saying?
Pressure's on me, yeah. No, I'm going for Tim Howard.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Great choice.
Wonderful choice. Trust me. Oh, what about Ruben van der Gaal? That's another one as well.
Barthez, to be fair, he got
Barthez, classy. Hey, Thomas Kuszczak. Shout out Thomas Kuszczak. Don't forget about him, sir.
What about Andrew Gorham?
Andy Gorham. There's only 2 Andy Gorhams.
No, seriously. I think I'm gonna have to go with Van der Sar. Wow. Because as much as I do love Peter Schmeichel, see, you know me, I take things quite close to the heart. And the day he joined City, my heart broke. So in terms of quality, I think they are level. But what Joe made is a great point. The fact that he ended it at the top level as well. It wasn't just like a sort of like a decline, which can actually happen at a footballer. But he stayed there till 40, and he still performed at a very high level. Multiple leagues, 3 in a row with us, Champions League, and another final as well. He was integral in everything. I think I just have to pass it to Van der Sar. I think he was just that little bit better than Peter Schmeichel.
Fair enough. Let us
That's
know
why I love you, Kojo. That's why I love you.
I love you too, man.
Let us know what you guys think in the comments. Obviously, we've got a few people say Schmeichel, some people say Van der Sar. For me personally, it's very tight. But one scored quite a few goals, so I'm going to have to go for the Dane. I'm going to have to go for Schmeichel. I just think for me personally, that save, the iconic save, the way he came out and spread himself, that to this day, 20 plus years on, is still, familiar with his name as well. So I think he was not only just a fantastic goalkeeper, man. He was I think he kind of started as sweeper keeper as well. I just thought he was absolutely brilliant.
To be fair,
they're both fantastic. We're spoiled for choice, really, aren't we? As we are throughout the whole team. Joe, what were you going to say? Sorry.
No, sorry for interrupting. To be fair, we are so blessed the fact that we have 3 goalkeepers who we could arguably put into this team. The only reason I didn't say De Gea was De Gea has been phenomenal, but under pressure constantly. With shot after shot after shot, throwing off amazing saves. So he doesn't we find that his concentration might be his weakness. But with this team, there won't be as much coming in. There'll be probably 1 spectacular save per game you have to make. So we don't need that sort of keeper. We need someone who can control the box, and it's Van der Sar or Schmeichel. Impossible choice. I pick Van der Sar for the reasons I said, but Schmeichel is out of this world as well. We're just lucky that we had the 2 of them.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I think De Gea definitely doesn't need a shout. Obviously, he's fallen off in the last couple of seasons, but I think people need to respect what he's done for the club, and he has carried us prior to those sort of dips in form, so to speak. I think it's been phenomenal for the club. Right, moving on to right back. We'll start with you this time, Kojo. Who are you going for?
It has to be Gary, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it has to be Gary. I mean,
this might be one of the only this and left back that we're definitely going to agree on without a shadow of a doubt.
Left back, I'm not completely sure yet, but
we'll get to that in a second. Right?
Yeah, I'm not sure yet. But right back, right back has to be Gary Neville because I mean, for me, he was very good defensively, and the times that you could beat him once or twice, he'd rattle you enough to make sure that you didn't get past him again. His ability to go forward is still very underrated. I mean, because we're in the era of, in the Premier League anyway, players whipping balls in from deeper in a more freer position. But he didn't have to do that. He had David Beckham in front of him. But when he needed to, he was overlapping at the perfect time. He was crossing the balls in wonderfully well. His success rate was really good in terms of finding his own player. And he was just so reliable. And that's what I like. Sometimes you don't need a player that's incredibly special in one aspect of the game, but he's so good in everything else, and that's what I need. I mean, someone that's so good in everything as a collective, and he hardly ever let us down. It was just a shame that he had a load more injuries. Otherwise, consistent. Yeah, he was so consistent because the injuries obviously affected him towards the ending of his career. But he became club captain. That means his influence around the club was just incredible in general, anyway. And the guy was just brilliant. He was a brilliant right back, and for me, he's still the best right back we've seen in Premier League history. So,
big words there.
That's to be Gary Neville.
Right, okay, fair enough. Strong Wiz, obviously best right back in Premier League history, in your opinion. I think I've just found Joe, have you got a burner account by chance? Is this you on another account? What's going on here?
John O'Shea.
Legend.
Legend.
Yes.
Legend.
Yeah.
Is that? I don't know what's going off there. It must be Joey in comments. It must be pulling my leg or something.
I'm saying nothing. I'm saying nothing.
Who have you got for, Joe?
Look, lads. Like Coach just said, it's got to be Gary Neville. I genuinely, I can't even think of another right back. Like after him, it was Raphael was supposed to be the next coming. Before him was Paul Parker. Like none of them really do anything. You know, they don't stick in the memory very long. Played with his heart in his sleeve. I was at the Liverpool game where he gave a large to the Liverpool fans, and that was amazing. That was like the epitome of my life, is seeing that. Like, not only did he have his whole heart and his whole being was for the club, but like he was the best right back in maybe not the world, but definitely in the Premier League for the longest time. And I understand what Coach was saying. Like, by today's standards, you wouldn't say he's the best right back in Premier League history, but by the standards of how he played back then, he was definitely, like, he could say it. Do you know what I mean? The position changed so much that I can still understand the argument. It's just different now. And it's the way he played with Beckham and played off everyone and played centre back where he needed to be. There's just no one who comes close. Like, who would you guys even say comes close? Because
I'm gonna ask Barry in a second now. I'm interested to see what he says. But regarding his link up with Beckham, which is the reason I've actually put Neville in as well. I just thought his understanding with Beckham was absolutely phenomenal. The amount of times he dragged the player away for Beckham to get that 1v1, and you know how lethal he is in terms of his delivery. So it's just, I'm sure Beckham would appreciate Gary Neville as much as, you know, the other way around. And there's a few comments that Beckham used to say about Gary Neville, and just used to make me laugh. Just like, you know, sometimes I'll just let him run but not pass it, and just to see him run around. But it has to be Gary Neville for me. Barry, I'm assuming yours is Gary Neville. If it's not, obviously do correct me. But is there anyone else that you can think of that even comes close in the Premier League era?
Well, it's funny you should mention Gary Neville, because it's a no-brainer. There's nobody who comes close as a United right back, lived and breathed the club. And I think another mention with respect to Gary is it was always said that if he was a bit taller, he would have played centre-back because he read the game very well. Strong in the tackle, good in the overlap, could cross a ball, could pass a ball. And in fact, our incumbent right back could learn a thing or two about crossing a ball from Gary Neville. So, no-brainer, and a great leader on the field. Unfortunately, some long-term injuries towards the end of his career, but still played over 600 games for United. Great player.
Absolute legend for me, without a shadow of a doubt. Barry, will stay with you for the right centre-back. Obviously, you know, you can put him whichever way around you want. It's up to you, but just for argument's sake, who are you going right centre-back?
Right, so again, I guess we'll get to mention the second centre-back. Centre-backs, we've had some great centre-back pairings, of course, during the Premiership era. Bruce and Pallister, Stam and Johnson, Ferdinand and Vidic. They've been absolutely fantastic. But for me, the first of my centre-backs I choose is Rio. Fantastic reader of the game. Very unusual to see his shorts get dirty during a game because he read the game so well. And in fact, when you look at most of the pundits choosing their best United 11s, Rio gets in every time. So he would be on my right side of the centre-back pairing.
Okay, interesting. So he's gone for Rio again. There's quite a lot of people in the comments saying contrasting views. Now, I don't want to put them all up at the moment because I've said both the centre backs, but a few, well, as you would imagine, a few saying Rio, a few other names being mentioned. Kojo, we come to you. Is it Rio for you, or have you got somebody else?
On the right side? It's got to be Rio. I mean, for me, in terms of Premier League history, again, definitely top 5, arguably top 3 or top 2 reading of the game. The thing is, when he first joined the club, Bruce, that's a good shout. Damn. That's a very good shout. But
a few good shouts in there. I'm just gonna pop him over as he's talking.
The fact that, you know, when he came in, my one thing for him at first was I wasn't sure about his sort of like his concentration levels. But I think as he matured on and he got more time at United, that just didn't become a problem. And anytime he made a mistake, it was like, oh my God, Rio Ferdinand made a mistake. He was that kind of level defender. He set at such a level.
Yeah.
In terms of making teams of the year, not only just Premier League, we're talking about UEFA, we're talking about FIFA Pro Team of the Year. You're sitting next to some of the greatest players that we can speak about in defensive history in the football. You know, you're lining up next to them in Teams of the Year, and that's testament to his ability because he deserves to be in those positions. We missed him greatly when he had the ban over missing the drug test. Yeah, just an incredible player, and he could ball out. And he scored goals against Liverpool as well, which is just the icing on the cake.
I was there as well when he scored that goal.
I mean, come on, man. Like, honestly, for me, that is just.
Joe, are you claiming the assist for that goal?
You better believe it.
What are you going for, Joe? Then obviously there's no Irish centre backs that come to my mind. Or am I mistaken?
Well, you know, John O'Shea. I'm going to count Paul McGrath. He didn't technically play in the Premier League for United, but he did for Villa. So I'm going to count the two of them as one player. No, it's definitely Rio, 100%. I was just about to say for just the Liverpool goal alone for that header, and then he scores. I think he scored 2 or 3 altogether against the.
He scored a banger as well. Out the sky.
He scored a header, and he scored another one where in the box he pulled the ball down.
But like when he was being
Paul Scholes' 500th game.
Oh,
there you go. Lovely fun fact. Yeah. But like you could tell, like he began his career at West Ham as a striker, and then eventually moved back because his control with the ball at his feet. I don't think there's ever been a centre back as comfortable as him. Like everything was effortless, and like Barry said, his shorts never got dirty because he never had to do a sliding tackle. His reading of the game is next level, and everything about him is what we are crying out for now. And yeah, that's it. There's just no one even close, to be honest. No one.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. He's the definition of a modern centre-back, even in his era, in terms of his ability on the ball, his ability to read the game. You know, you guys have already alluded to the fact that he never got his shorts dirty, and that is down to the fact that he was so good at reading the game. He was always 2 or 3 steps ahead of the game. And for me personally, it was absolutely phenomenal. What we would do to get someone like him right now. And at the time when we bought him for that money, and a lot of people raised eyebrows. Yeah. Obviously, not just because of his suit, but because of the price tag. So but no, I absolutely love Rio.
I can never, ever forgive him. Never forgive him.
He still gets rinsed for it on BT for that.
No. But like the suit is one thing. But do you remember when he against City, the 4-3, when he tried to lob? Was it Bellamy?
Bellamy,
right into his chest. That was the point of his decline, when he didn't understand how bad his body was and how broken he was. But like for that, that's the memory that comes back. But then I remember the header against Liverpool, and all is forgiven then.
If you are joining us in the comment section, as always, make sure you get your comments in. I am looking at them. I will put some on the screen. For those of you asking, yes, we do interact with the fans. Of course, we do. If you are new here, make sure you drop a like and subscribe. Yes, I think you guys know as well. I've gone for Rio Ferdinand. For the other centre back, I'll start first, obviously, and then I'll pass it to you guys. No, I've gone for Yapstam. It was tight between him and Vidic. Obviously, I know people are going to say different players. But for me personally, I remember Yapstam coming to the club, and at the time, I was like, who the hell is this guy? Like, where's this guy come from? Just plucked him out of just absolutely nowhere. But he was just an absolute no-nonsense defender, and I just thought he was absolutely phenomenal. Him and Rio together would be an absolute sensation partnership. Obviously, him and Vidic were phenomenal, but I just think Yapstam was probably one of the best defenders we've ever had at the club for me personally. You know, it's very difficult to beat him in a 1v1. He's absolutely phenomenal. His overall game as well, it was just brilliant. And I would love to see them together. And it was a shame when he eventually got sold. Barry, who are you going for? I've gone obviously for Stam and Rio as the 2 centre-backs.
You've kind of taken the words out of my mouth. When looking at centre-back pairing, I think you need one who's an elegant sort of ball winner, reader of the game, and the other one needs to be kind of a bad guy, a rock-solid guy, a no-nonsense guy. So looking through the years, guys fulfilling those roles would be Steve Bruce, would be Vidic, would be Jaap Stam. For me, Stam probably was the best because he was the quickest of those 3. Absolutely rock solid. And I guess we'll never know why he was sold. Was it because of stuff that he wrote in his book? We were all a bit surprised when he left. But Jaap Stam for me to partner Rio.
Absolutely. There you go. There's a few people in the comments. Reese is agreeing with us. He's put Stam and Ria as well, actually, which is, of course, the partnership that most of us two have done. Anyways, we'll come to you, Kojo. Are you agreeing with us, or are you going for someone different?
Yeah, I'm going for Yap Stam. See, when he joined us, I was, Jesus, 1998. So I was still 5. Yeah.
Yes, you were still 5.
I was still 5 that time. 6 was 6. My birthday's in December, so I was 5. And oh, sorry, you were 2. Yeah, I was 5, and that's when I started to really understand football, because my dad was just really eager to me understanding like the tactical side and this, that, and the other. And I was just watching this guy, and I'm just like,
you're smart 5-year-old, aren't you? Understanding the game, you.
Well, he drummed it into me. It was either that or nothing. So, and my mom went away.
You know what's going on in there. One of them ones.
Yeah, my mom went away for a couple of months, so it was just football, which is fine by me. But yeah, I just watched him. I was like, this guy is incredible, like genuinely incredible. And as much as I love Vidic, I think Vidic was absolutely sensational. Yap Stam it was there 98 to 2001, and in that period, I'm just thinking, you're untouchable. Genuinely, you are incredible. And what Barry said is perfect. He was quickest, but not only could he be a nasty guy, but he also knows how to play football as well, man. Like that's the Dutch style in him, innit? He still knows how to play ball, but
absolutely,
when he needs to be in your face and win the ball, whether it's on the feet or on the ground, once he wins the ball from him, you don't approach him again, and that's a big problem. And yeah, honestly, I've got all the praise in the world for Yap Stam, so I'm not gonna go on anymore. Just Yap Stam is a great Dutchman.
Love to see that. So at the moment, we've all gone for the same back four, mate. Joe, you're gonna mix it up or what? What's going on?
Look, lads, I'm just saying John O'Shea, okay? He hasn't. No, look, to be fair, like there's no argument. Like Yap Stam and Vidic are the exact same player. It's just that Yap Stam was better at everything Vidic was good at. Like Vidic was top class, but Yap Stam was world class. And that's just it. And he terrified the shit out of me the first time I saw him. He is the baldest man who's ever lived, and he is gigantic. Like I could not imagine like coming up, like being like someone from anywhere and just happened to be marked by him all game. I would just immediately get myself subbed or sent off. I couldn't comprehend it. So for that, has to be him. And also I saw my mate Steve Langan commented agreeing with me. Cheers, Steve, about Rio. So Yap. All the way, Yap and Rio would be the best partnership in Premier League history. And if it wasn't for my man Roy Keane, he probably would have stayed at the club for a couple of years longer.
Have you just got loads of burner accounts in your Joe? Everyone's just agreeing with you. What's going on?
I don't know.
Just we've all said the same 3 at the moment. Obviously, we had a change in the goalkeeper position, but the left back position for me is an absolute no-brainer. So I'm just going to say his name, and I'll leave you guys to explain, because, it has to be Dennis Irvin for me. It's, a no-brainer. I know Kojo said he's a bit unsure, but I don't know. How can you not pass the man, the myth, Dennis Irvin?
Genuinely.
Obviously, Joe, we'll come to you at the end, man. Wait 1 second. Right, Barry, come on. Talk to us about Dennis Irvin. It has to be Dennis Irvin for me. Go on, I'm not hearing anything different.
Right, so at left back, the only contender that some might consider would be Patrice Evra.
Yeah.
But again, I think it's a no-brainer. Dennis Irwin, more than 500 games for the United, Mr. Consistency, 8 or 9 out of 10 every game. Very difficult to get past him, and an underrated taker of penalties and free kicks.
Free kicks of quality.
Scored some very good free kicks. We remember one in particular against Liverpool, the 3-3 draw at Anfield, and just Mr. Consistency. Hardly ever missed a game. Brilliant player. Quiet, went about his business. One of our greatest players ever, surely, and one of our biggest bargains ever.
Yep. Without a shadow of doubt. Joe, before we come to you, because obviously, let's be real, you're going to be biased anyways, but listen, Kojo, you were saying, potentially there might be someone else that you think. I think the only other feasible option is Evra. I can't think of anybody else. Are you going to put a case forward for Patrice, or?
There is, because the thing about Irwin was like what you guys have said is spot on, and I always say Irwin was Ian Hart before Ian Hart was Ian Hart, and then Ian Hart was Leighton Baines before Leighton Baines found out he was Leighton Baines, and now Trent Alexander-Arnold is Leighton Baines before. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a pattern, but yeah, the guy was just so good, man, and being so good at set pieces as well just adds something extra to your spot. But also with Evra is, of course, when he first joined us, he struggled badly. Damn, he was terrible. But eventually he matured into such a superb left back. Gabriel Hussein was solid, but he went to go Liverpool, so
yeah.
don't want to hear his name ever again, to be honest. I prefer Heinz baked beans to propose to him anyway. But like he eventually improved into such a top left back, and then towards the end of his career, he started adding goals to his game, headers, long range shot against Roma in the 7-1 win. It's you know what? Just because I know Owen's gonna win this one because Joe's next, and we all know where that's going. I'm just gonna add everyone there and say I love this game.
Right, okay, Joe. Here we go. A genuine Irish. I thought there's gonna be another genuine Irish player in there, but let's go with the first one. Who you got? What are you saying?
Quinton Fortune.
It's a little known fact that Jesper Blomqvist played the left back a couple of times as well. So look, Dennis Irwin, to be fair,
I've just realized someone's just throwing in Phil Neville. Actually, we've not even mentioned him. To be fair,
he was fine. Like you know,
you did a step up for once.
Yeah, but so did John O'Shea.
Hold on, John O'Shea nutmegs Figo. Don't forget that.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I was going to bring up if anyone remember that. But look, Dennis Irwin, like Kojo said, he was Ian Hart before Ian Hart. Then Leighton Baines, and then who was the last one?
Trent.
Trent. You know the difference between Dennis Irwin and them lads? Dennis Irwin could defend as well. All right.
True.
Not only was he great with the ball on a penalty spot or a free kick or assisting, he was actually great at stopping goals as well. He was sent off once in his whole career, and that was because he didn't stop at Anfield when the ball went down to play, and he got a second the second booking, which sent him off, and then it got repealed the following week and got taken off. So for consistency, for never ever letting the team down, always 8 out of 10, and his 8 out of 10 is exceptional. It just has to be. There's no one else even close, to be honest. Evra, I love him so much, and I know he loves the game, but the decline between Irwin to Evra is the same decline from Evra to Luke Shaw.
Wow. That is absolute levels with all due respect to Luke Shaw. But
to be fair, I have to shout out John O'Shea because I'm not even trying to do banter anymore, Winner against Liverpool. Winner against Liverpool. Dinkers against Arsenal. Combined with, quite frankly, for me, the greatest celebration of all time. I don't care. And don't gonna lie to you, when he very left back, right back, centre mid, defensive midfield, the guy did the job and he did it damn well. Let's give the guy his due, man. Let's give him his due, you know?
Yeah, he can make the bench. Right, okay. Moving on. Okay, right. So first and foremost, obviously that is our back five. I don't think there was many differences in our team. I think it's quite difficult to change. I suppose you could probably put Vidic in there potentially. Steve Bruce, you could potentially chuck him in there as well. Okay, so let's move on to the midfield. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. Like I said at the start of the show, we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. We're very close to that mark, so we would really appreciate that. We're going to start with the right wing first and foremost, okay? So obviously, like I said, we're going for a flat 4-4-2 as the traditional Man United team would do. Barry, we'll come to you first, mate.
All right, so I think ultimately we'll probably all have similar choices, but maybe in different positions. So given a 4-4-2, I'm going to kind of include two wide players. On the right-hand side, should it be David Beckham? For me, the best free kick taker possibly ever that any club has had, the best crosser of a ball that we've ever had. But he doesn't make it in my team because I'm putting Ronaldo on the right.
Wow.
I'm putting Ronaldo on the right, and I'm putting him there because in his last 3 seasons at United, he scored 90 goals, and he became the complete player. So I'm talking about careers at United. So even though he's gone on to unbelievable things, his last 3 seasons at United were utterly sublime. So I've put him in my right wing slot.
Wow, okay, that's kind of thrown me off there because I'm not going to say. Obviously, I'm sure he's on everyone's team, but he's not. Am I right? Interesting. Right, Joel, we'll come to you first.
Yeah.
So he's gone for Ronaldo. Who are you going for?
I figured it would this is where we would start breaking off a bit, because before I got on line with this, I was in with my dad and my brother, and we were making our team to try and make it as solid as possible. And this is where we had our biggest argument. And I fundamentally understand where Barry is coming from. I did have Ronaldo on the right originally in my first team, but I had to take him off there because that is not his best position, and it's not where he regularly played for United, and it's not where he played his best football. Agreed. That was the opposite wing. And that is the only, and you have to do it. You have to put head over heart in these sort of things. And I think we know who's going to be missing out on the far side, which I can't believe, but it has to be David Beckham. I was looking at it the other day, his free kick against Man City in 2000, and it just came up my timeline, and I was like, this man is so underappreciated because of his level of fame.
Preach!
Like, his love of the game is one thing, his dedication is another, but the fact that he was top quality as well. And it's not his fault that he's good looking, and it's not his fault that he's a good salesman. He was just probably one of the best world, like, all-rounded players in both for commercials and for quality on the pitch we will ever see.
Not as good looking as you, Joe.
I was about to say the same thing. You beat me too, Barry.
You guys, suddenly I feel like taking him out of the team and putting Ronaldo in. Thank you, Barry. No, but like,
you worked a job.
Yeah, but like what we...
I just want to make mention, though, when putting Ronaldo on the right wing, remember he's not going to stay on the right wing.
I understand I understand it's a free role, but he is most comfortable on the left-hand side at that time in United, and that's where he's most successful. He would very rarely switch over to the right. But when you have Beckham, and this is what we fundamentally think with him, you have the partnership with Gary Neville, and also from every set piece, from every corner, from every free kick, you have a serious threat with David Beckham. Whilst if you put anyone else in there, if you have Ronaldo of his best, might be the best player ever lived, I think he's got a 0.1% goal ratio with free kicks. He was never one for assists either. So, and then when you have whoever you have on the other side, no matter who you put in, you're not going to get the same delivery. So that's why it has to be Neville. It has to be David Beckham on the right.
Neville. Okay, cool. When you see the rest of my team, you'll see why.
Okay, I look forward to it.
Okay, he's still got Neville on his mind, say no more. Right, okay, Kojo, one's gone for Beckham, one has gone for Ronaldo. Have you gone for Nani by any chance, or have you gone for someone else? Richardson, Nani, I don't know.
No, I went for Bebe.
Oh yeah, love that.
Overton. Ronaldo is in my team, but he's not on the right. It has to be David Beckham.
Spoiler alert.
I think for pure fact that I think with United fans, I think we appreciate him, but in the footballing world, he is one of the most disrespected footballers of all time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you've obviously spoken about his celebrity status and how good looking he was, and they try and add that to it. They forget the fact that he also became second in the Ballon d'Or.
Yes.
In 2000. And just shying away from United for 1 second, he went to Real Madrid and somehow even improved. The quality of passes was still the same. I mean, the guy is he was an absolute brilliant footballer, and it kind of annoys me that we can look at some footballers now and call them stars, but when someone is a star in front of your eyes and you can see them on the pitch doing wonderful things week in and week out, and you can't appreciate them, it just kind of annoys me. It makes me sick. So, honestly,
can I just make a contentious comment? We're talking about players at United during the Premiership era, because if you want to talk about wingers that played at United but are great players, and I'll get slaughtered for saying this because he was dire at United, but Angel Di Maria is a great player.
Oh, yeah, he is,
yeah, of course.
At United, he was absolutely dire.
Well, he wasn't that bad at Man United, to be fair.
His debut was great, yeah.
But, and I just want to add in my utter respect for David Beckham. I absolutely agree with you that he's one of the most underrated footballers and possibly the greatest crosser of the ball. Maybe I can still sneak him in on the left-hand side and he'll swap.
Too late now. You're going to go for this one, are you, Barry? No, I'm joking.
But for me, it has to be Beckham. Beckham is just, to be honest as well, just if I'm going to add a little bias in there, he's the reason I fell in love with football in the first place. So
Damn, and I thought it was because of Joe.
Joe's a close second. Joe's a close second. Don't worry about that. Joe's a close
Very
second.
close. Very close.
Fair play. All right, there's a lot of love for Beckham in the chat as well. Obviously, as you can see, loved Beckham. Who flipping doesn't? But listen, obviously in terms of Ronaldo, I agree with what Joe said in terms of his United career. He didn't predominantly play there, so I don't think I could personally put him there. But for me personally, it has to be Beckham, man. Just to echo the sentiment of the boys, his delivery was absolutely ridiculous. That he was so accurate, like consistently accurate as well. People are talking about Trent and De Bruyne. Well, before these men were even born, Beckham was whipping it into the top bins. Some of the goals that he scored from the right side and he's whipped it across the left corner. It just defies physics. It defies physics. Like, for me personally, unbelievable player. So many moments, and I absolutely love the guy, man. Honestly, quality player, and even to this day, what a guy. Anyways, moving on. I feel like the centre mids are going to be a waste of time because we all know who they are. But going to the left wing. We'll come to you, Barry. Go on, state your claim. Who are you going for?
David Beckham. Just my left winger is Ryan Giggs. An unbelievable career at United, and a career really in two parts, because initially an out-and-out winger, but later on a midfielder, much better as a winger. Of course, we've had other flying wingers, and another honourable mention I'd agree with Reece Andre Kanchelskis would get an honourable mention, certainly. But Ryan Giggs, in the early part of it, in the first half of his career, was mesmerising. I mean, he was a wizard at dribble, fantastic finisher, decent in the air, and left-footed. So he would get my vote on the left wing, with the knowledge that nowadays a lot of right-footed players play on the left and cut inside, but he'd get my vote on the left of that midfield four. And he could defend. That's another thing that he was very good at as well.
That's true.
Well, I don't think he had a choice with Fergie at the helm. He would have killed him. Just to add that. But look, Ryan Giggs, for me personally, he's a legend for a reason. I think he's been an absolute phenomenal servant for the club. I think the left one is going to be the one that's causing the most controversy. So, Joe, I'll pass it over to you to cause the controversy, mate. There you go.
Cheers. Thanks very much. Look, this is an incredibly tough decision, genuinely, because Giggsy is probably the best player that has ever played for the club, or the most, maybe not the best, but definitely the most iconic. And there's no person that will ever be associated more with a club than anyone else. And there was no one who will be able to play for as long as he did at the highest level for one club, and also change from everything that Barry said. I completely agree. When he was younger, which Barry will remember better, I just have flashes of when Giggs was young. Him being a tricky winger with such with the ball at his feet at the speed he ran at was insane. And if he was playing now, who knows what he could do? Who knows how far, how much better as a footballer he could even be with today's coaching and stuff like that. This is why I originally had Ronaldo on the right, but I had to switch him. But the fact is, Ronaldo is Ronaldo. At the club, I know he's only there for 6 years, but what he brought to the club is indescribable. There's nothing even I can say about him, because people in every language have described Ronaldo in words we can never even comprehend and can't even. It's just, he is the greatest probably ever lived, and you can't leave him out, because a huge part of his development and a huge part of him being the best in the world, or best at all time, was at our club. So we can't look past that. And it breaks my heart that Giggs doesn't make it in, because it's literally the only position that I can't switch around, because he's one of the best players who's ever lived. So wish it could be anyone else, but unfortunately it's Ronaldo.
I'm going to tell Giggs what you said, Joe.
Barry.
I was just about to say, I almost shed a tear there with the way you ended that. It was absolutely, it was moving. I'm sure everyone in the chat could agree with me. If you were saying that Giggsy has to be in, Giggsy goal against Arsenal, obviously, as we know, the most iconic goal, the hairy chest, all that good stuff, shirt off, you know the drill. Kojo, what are your thoughts? Are you going for the OG, which is Ryan Giggs, or are you going for Cristiano, or is there somebody else
No,
your interest?
it's Cristiano, man. I'm going to say this. I think that I'll say 4 year period. Actually, no, 3 year. Let's say 3 year period. To 06, 07 to 08, 09. That 3 year period for me, for what I've seen, was the best period for a United player in Premier League history. It was just ridiculous completely. It was actually insane, to be honest. At some point it got quite ridiculous and just like quite disrespectful and rude, to be honest. I mean, you just got to stop at some point. I mean, he was just winning games left, right, and center for banter, free kicks, slapping the one against Portsmouth. Even the goal that's not spoken about against Portsmouth at Fratton Park when he cut in and hit with his left foot straight across the goalkeeper. Robbie
That
Brady,
free
good
kick
shout.
as well against Portsmouth.
Lads, that's my cousin Jack. He said he'd buy me a pint if I mentioned Robbie Brady, so he just after taking it away from me.
I just shouted out Robbie Brady as well. So where's my pint, bro?
Yeah, say it. Oh, Jack,
No,
pint.
Ronaldo was just wow. Man, I don't know what to say. He was sensational, man. He was so incredible, so good. And you saw it from the first minute he joined the club when he came off the bench and he had that little cameo, won a penalty for us, was beating players easily. And that's when you just knew, you know what, this guy he's sensational. And here's another big shout as well. Top 2 Premier League players of all time, Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, mate. Obviously, don't say there's one because Arsenal fans might go into meltdown. If you don't mention theirs, that is. Right, okay, so I'm just going to keep it short and sweet because I think you've said most of what I want to say. I've got to be honest, I'm listening to everything you lot are saying and it's very difficult. I'm not sitting on the fence. I don't know which one to go for because obviously for me personally, Ronaldo, I do agree with what Coach just said. I personally think that 3 year spell that you had eclipses Henry for me personally. But obviously Arsenal fans will kill me if I said that, but I have. But I'm actually gonna go base it because it is the Premier League era and it's the greatest Premier League team. I'm gonna base it on longevity, and I'm sure Barry will know the stats. But how many titles has Ryan Giggs won again? Sorry,
13.
How many times?
How many times has Ryan Giggs won the title? Is it 13?
13.
Yeah, and he's been massively influential, not only on the pitch but off it. You gotta look. I can't not put Ryan Giggs in just because of his longevity. It's the Premier League all-time 11. Yes, Ronaldo was here for 6 years, but as you mentioned, it was probably like 4 years that he was massive, like for us. Yeah. And Giggs has done it for what 20 plus, man.
Osman, can that go to the poll then? Can we do a poll?
No, well, you know what's going to happen. Everyone's going to vote for Ronaldo, aren't they? Because you're just going to see loads of Ronaldo fanboys thinking.
But then I'll be right. Then I'll be right. That's what I want.
Well, okay, listen. Let's move on to the sentiments. I feel like this is probably going to be the shortest part of the whole show. But Barry, let's just say both of them as a partnership because I've got a feeling there can't be any dispute on this one. Even Koja can't dispute this one. Obviously, we'll allow you guys to give some honourable mentions, of course.
Well, there might be. So,
of course, actually, what we're talking about, just realize.
You want the 2 central midfielders?
Yeah, just go for the partnership. Who are you going for?
Right. So Paul Scholes is one of them because he's the consummate midfielder. I think he's a player that maybe became appreciated a little bit more even when he left the club, just to how good he was, that he controlled the pace of the game. A wonderful, wonderful player, brilliant distribution, fantastic finisher. So he would get my vote. Yeah. But now comes the contentious part because do we vote for Roy Keane or do we vote for Brian Robson?
Yeah, I was just remembered Robson actually. I was thinking
in the Premiership era, Robson only played for 2 seasons. So if you ask me, if I was voting for an all-time United 11, I would choose Robson over Keane and Robson would be my captain. It's a contentious one. But in the Premiership era, I've got to go for Roy Keane because he was there for much of his career. Robson was at the end of his career. And of course, Roy would captain the team. And Roy was Fergie's lieutenant on the field. I mean, he ran the show. I think a lot of the players were in awe of him. He led by example. The consummate midfielder, both him and Robson. Robson may be more of a box-to-box midfielder. Robson scored twice as many goals than Keane did. But as I say, for the Premiership era, and I don't want to keep everybody too long, so I'm going to go for Keane and Scholes as my 2 central midfielders. But with the caveat that if we were going for longevity and choosing United team before that, I would have chosen Robson over Keane.
Yeah, I definitely agree in terms of Robson. He's definitely within it. Obviously, he's
Robson. When Robson was at United, he was virtually a one-man team. United weren't at their best, and he carried the team tremendously. Keane was surrounded by mega stars. The entire team were magnificent, and that's why Robson, one of the bravest players ever, certainly. But coming back to it, I'll go for Keane and Scholes.
Right, okay, we've got a few honourable mentions. Obviously, like I'm assuming we're all gonna go Keane Scholes, but obviously I'll ask you guys anyways. First and foremost, Jemba, without a shadow of a doubt. No, he's got to come on. Someone's got to mention him. If someone doesn't mention Jemba, and at least cleverly, I'm not gonna be happy. Another honourable mention. Got a feeling Joe's burn account is his boy. Roy Keane and Darren Gibbs. I wonder why he's gone for them two. I wonder.
Who knows? Who knows?
Joe, go on there because I know Jack's your mate. Are you agreeing with Jack, or are you got common sense?
He's an absolute bastard. I had a whole thing lined up there, because I was going to say and he's you prick, Jack. And his whole thing lined up where I was going to say, a set like central midfielder scored in a semi-final of a Champions League, Irish of course, so it has to be Darren Gibson. But Jack ruined it by saying that, so thanks very much. But no, it's the reason I love football as much as I do, and the reason my dad hates football as well, is because of Roy Keane. There's a huge, I don't know how much you guys know about this, but there was the whole thing of Saipan, where Roy Keane left.
So Jemba, etc. under the bus.
Yeah, but it was. Yeah, but it was legitimately split the country in two. This is how important Roy Keane is to the country. Like there was serious talks about there being a referendum.
Wow!
Yeah, I swear. Like, it's fascinating. So ever since that day, 18 years ago, anytime you mention Roy Keane to my dad, he almost has an aneurysm and wants to murder someone around him. Ideally, Roy Keane. And so to endlessly piss him off, it'd be Keano. But absolutely, Baz on Robbo. I think that's a debate for another day. Which one is actually better? Because Brian Robson talked for
fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, never met a bone he didn't break. But he told Ferguson to buy Keane because he cared about the team, even though it made him play less games. He wanted Keane there because he knew it was better for the team. So that shows the kind of man he is, the kind of club man he is. I'd love that debate between Keane and Robbo, between Baz and maybe me, and I'll win another one. But Keano, like the greatest captain in Premier League era, probably the greatest captain United ever had, and alongside him, there doesn't need to be said anything about Paul Scholes. He's the best player, like just the most creative mind we probably ever had as well. So speaks for itself.
Absolutely, very, very, positive words for Darren Gibson. It's beautiful. We've got someone saying Bobby Charlton just for you. It's Premier League era, mate. I think that's just a bit before his time. I don't know if you joined. In fact, you haven't joined us yet.
Usman, looking at the quality of a couple of midfielders we've had in this last season or so, I think an 80-year-old Bobby Charlton would have been a better choice than a couple of them that have played.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Baz.
Right,
we won't mention names.
I'm going to have to disagree with that one. But,
J-Links. Don't forget Clemerson, lads.
Anderson, by the way, no one's even mentioned. I'm not happy. Kojo, come make my day. What are you thinking about Anderson? Is he making the team or
what? Anderson was sensational, wasn't he? Beautiful, man. I'm going to throw a curveball here.
Oh, here we go.
Scholes, definitely. I mean, come on. We know who's the best in Premier League history. Let's talk about the other two in their clubs and with them guys there. His partner though is not Roy Keane.
Wow!
What?
If it's not this other person that I'm thinking, then honestly, God, I might just leave the show right now.
What, Michael Carrick?
It has. If it's not Michael Carrick, I'm gone.
Yeah, of course it's Michael Carrick. You see, the thing is, right? It took me a long time to. First of all, I'm going to say this. It took me a long time to really appreciate Keane as a footballer, because I didn't really appreciate how good he actually was with the football. I think there's this idea, obviously, that he's just a very aggressive captain, was good defensively, but didn't have much more to offer. The guy was damn good playing football. But what I loved about Carrick was when Roy Keane obviously left the club under acrimonious circumstances, to say the least,
Yeah.
We needed someone to come in and help steady the ship alongside Scholes in midfield, and boy, did he do that and do it so well. Reading of the game, exceptional. Passing range, incredible. Score some phenomenal goals as well. And some of his assists as well actually were insane. I don't know if anyone, this is my favorite Carrick assist when I think it was 4-3 against Newcastle, really rainy day.
Yeah.
And he found Hernandez really late in the end of the game with an absolutely ridiculous pass. I'm watching on TV. It should be easy for me to see him over there. I couldn't see him at all. Like it was just insane. And also him coming in coincided with us winning 3 Premier League titles in a row and a Champions League, quite similar to what Keane had at United also. His influence in the team was just, it was magnificent. And like, I just feel like I appreciate him a bit more than Keane. Not that, I love Roy Keane. I think I would agree he's the greatest captain of all time. But I'd love to Carrick that bit more. So I'm going Scholes and Carrick.
Yeah, fair shout.
Well, I think to be fair, my other person that I could have potential point was Carrick. We have got someone who's saying Nicky Butt. Obviously, Nicky Butt, a quality player as well.
Over Carrick?
No, not a chance.
I think this guy's trolling me to face when I said Bobby Charlton. So if he is, he's working at the moment.
But to be fair,
Nicky Butt was a quality player, though. I've got to say, though, you got to give him respect. And I think a lot of people in the dressing room, I think Roy Keane actually not so long ago on Sky Sports was singing the praises of Nicky Butt as well.
Yeah.
But for me personally, lads, just to keep it short and sweet, it has to be Roy Keane for me. Obviously, Scholes gets him without a shadow of a doubt. Roy Keane for me, phenomenal captain, leader, legend. If you ask any of the players, they will tell you the reason they're so successful was because of Roy Keane, his mentality in the dressing room. Just his comments the other day I think it was against Spurs game when they made that mistake of what he said at half time. He's saying that on live TV. So Lord knows what he's been saying in dressing room to players to get him up for a game. So the guy's mentality was just absolutely ridiculous. So for me personally, it has to be Roy Keane. Let us know if you guys have got anyone else in the chat. Some people saying Ji-Sung Park deserves an honourable mention. Obviously not as a centre mid, but as a wide player, I suppose he does. But I don't think he doesn't make the conversation.
If it was Premier League 11 against Arsenal, Park is in there.
Or against Pirlo.
Exactly.
Absolutely, without a shadow of doubt. But the moment you guys will be waiting for, the strike force. Someone's put Darren Fletcher as well. Again, a fantastic servant for the club, but for me personally, he's not in the conversation. But that's just me. Strike force, again, doing a partnership. It's a 4-4-2. So hopefully we might get a few different variations. I think this is the hardest one without a shadow. Even as I'm trying to introduce this, I don't know who I'm picking. So Barry, we'll go for you first so I can get some time to think.
Right, so my 2 strikers. The first one, an absolute no-brainer, is Ruud van Nistelrooy. So 150 goals in 5 seasons for United in 219 appearances. As you know, statistically, he's the second greatest striker that has ever played for Man United. Joe knows that.
Yes, I do.
Absolutely clinical. And in fact, of his 150 goals, 149 of them were scored in the penalty box. Only 1 goal he ever scored from outside the box. I think it was against Charlton Athletic. But Ruud was clinical, brilliant with both feet, brilliant in the air. He could beat a man, but he was in the right place at the right time. And in many respects, a sort of modern-day Dennis Law. He could sniff out a goal. And what I liked about him, he was goal hungry. I think if Ruud had the choice of losing a game 5-1 with him scoring or winning 5-0 with him not scoring, he would have chosen to have lost the game and scored a goal. That's how hungry he was to score. Unfortunately, in his 5 seasons at United, we only won the Premier League once. And again, an acrimonious departure from United because he had a lot more to offer. So he gets the 1 berth as a striker. And the other one is the partner is the one that I've had the most difficulty with.
Yeah, same.
Because I've wrestled either with Eric Cantona or with Wayne Rooney. Now, for me, Rooney is a guy that puts in a shift for the team. His work ethic was absolutely fantastic. He was all over the pitch, and I think often he was sacrificed for the good of the team, being pushed out wide. if you look at their goals ratio, both of them scoring just under 1 goal every second game. But Eric Cantona was just, I mean, he was like touch powder. I mean, he lit up the game. His link play between midfield and the front, scorer of some fantastic goals, could thread a pass brilliantly. So I'm in a bit of a dilemma between those two. I'll probably be, it's a toss of a coin for me between those two. Of course, Rooney is our top goal scorer in the history of the club. He had longevity at the club, which Cantona didn't. So I'm going to, I think, probably opt for the workhorse, and that is Wayne Rooney.
Right. Okay. So a lot of people in the comments are saying Van Nistelrooy and Cantona. We've got Joe's mate Jack saying Rooney and Van Nistelrooy again, still trolling us. Yeah. And then a lot of people, some people saying Rooney and Van Nistelrooy as well. So it's definitely within those three. I've not seen any mention for Andy Cole or Dwight York at all. I've not seen a single person mention them, which does surprise me, to be honest, because I thought in terms of partnership, you could make a case that they were the best that we've ever had. Obviously, no mention for Ali, sadly. I feel like we've all got Van Nistelrooy, but you know, Joe obviously has got Van Nistelrooy. Joe, go on, mate. Who's partnering Van Nistelrooy for you?
Well, like this is kind of a struggle with me. Like I kind of was thinking Berbatov because he's known affectionately around here as the Bulgarian Niall Quinn. But looking more into it, it is. I had the same dilemma as thanks, Jack. As Baz did, but it's between the workhorse of Rooney and Cantona with just all his flair and all his ingenious and everything that goes with that. But with the team we have that we've picked so far, Rooney doesn't need to work as hard as he does. He could focus on just the front end of the pitch and doing what needs to be there, but I don't think he can do that. I think he's just so, at his peak, he was so energetic and so wanted to be part of everything, he wouldn't be able to do that. While Cantona, all he cares about is playing football and playing football the best way and creating chances and scoring chances and ruining the away fans' days. And there has not been a player that's played with him that knows he is a psychopath, but an absolute genius. And he retired from football because it was getting too commercial. We need someone like that back in the game. Like everything that goes with Cantona, I just think it's impossible to leave him off. And him and Van Nistelrooy would work perfectly together. I think Rooney, it's so close with Rooney. I don't know how he can be our top goal scorer. First of all, not being our best forwards of all times list.
Well, that's ours. This is your.
Oh no. But I'm talking about last. But he did the best forwards of all time.
Yeah.
But it's just a case of Rooney is so good, but he's such a good team player and so good at everywhere on the pitch as well. While Cantona in that final, there was no one probably feared more at that time in the Premier League. Definitely, he won us our first league title and won us so many games and won us so many titles and cups and everything. And he scored against Liverpool loads of times as well.
I'm sorry to interrupt. One of the reasons also I opted for Rooney is where Cantona fell a little bit short was in his European appearances. Rooney put in some sterling appearances in European football, which maybe edged him a little bit for me there.
It's Premier League 11, Barry. It's not nothing to do what he's doing.
No, but European performances during the Premiership era.
Yeah, I understand that, but we're not referring to how what they've done in the Champions League or Europe. It's just literally strictly their Premier League career, Man United.
No, but I think people have been referring to how players have done at other clubs.
So no, they were just saying that as an example, in terms of explaining how good of a player they are. They've even done it elsewhere.
I'm just trying to rationalise why my team's better than Joe's.
I was just trying to get you to admit it, but it took you time. Right, okay, so just to clarify, Parry, you've gone for Van Nistelrooy and Rooney, is that correct?
Yes.
And then obviously, Joe, you've gone for Cantona and Van Nistelrooy. So there is a bit of difference there. Obviously, you guys can let us know. We might do that as a poll. It'd be interesting to see what people say. We've got a few comments here from the. Let's just get this on. All for United. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. So this is obviously our admin. It's easy for me. Beckham scores, Giggs, Keane, Ronaldo, Rude.
Beckham, Scholes, Keane, Giggs, Ronaldo and Van Nistelrooy up front. No, but he never really played up front for
Has he put? No, he's put Ronaldo up front, I think.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But he never really played up front for United, really.
Right.
Like I know he did what he wanted.
To be fair, he has commented after saying all about shoehorning them in. Okay, so fair play. Right, okay, Coach, we come to you. So one's gone for Cantona, one has gone for Rooney. Nobody's mentioned Andy Cole. Nobody's mentioned Dwight York.
Andy Cole is the English Clinton Morrison.
Wow, disrespect. I might have to leave, you know.
Wow.
Wait, one second. You can't see everyone's faces. 1 second. What? What? What?
Oh God!
I hope that's trolling. I really hope that's trolling. Anyways, Coach, mate. Coach, talk to me about the Clinton Morrison.
Sorry. Wait, what position is it again?
Strike. So, sorry, who are you actually going for? I've just given everyone Van Nistelrooy on the default. That you might not even have him in your team. Who are you going for as your teammate?
No, Van Nistelrooy is in my team. I've gone for Wayne Rooney and the English Clinton Morrison.
You've gone for Clinton Morrison then, yeah?
Yeah. Now Rooney gets in firstly because his goal scoring record is underrated, and the fact is the 2 seasons that he played as a pure striker for us, he scored 30 plus goals. Unfortunately, he didn't win a league for us that year, but it just showed that if he decided to play as a striker, as a selfish striker throughout his whole United career, his goal scoring record would have been even more ridiculous in my opinion.
Yeah.
And on top of that, obviously a complete footballer for me, could do everything. The amount of outrageous goals he scored for us, Newcastle, City, numerous chips over goalkeepers of the highest caliber. I mean, the guy was just
the head kick, by the way. Can we mention the Man City one, please?
Yeah, City. Yes, that's what I was talking about. City, the head kick.
Beautiful.
Even under the most terrible United manager in history, David, that guy, that free kick, he's got another free kick against Man City from a long distance as well. Like the guy is just he was an absolute...
from the halfway line against West Ham.
See, I forgot about that one as well. See, what a footballer. So he has to be in there for me, and the fact that he also can link up with everyone else at any time. I mean, how many players did he play with and link up with all of them?
Yeah, unbelievable.
Van Nistelrooy to Alan Smith, so what a player. And Andy Cole, because I actually went to say Van Nistelrooy first, because 150 goals and 219 appearances is absolutely ridiculous, to be completely honest. But unfortunately for him, he didn't win as much as I hoped he could have. And Andy Cole was integral in everything that we won, and he won plenty with us, talking 3 titles in a row, talking Champions League. And I think his overall Premier League record, talking about just like his Premier League at United, but overall in Premier League as well, he was just point blank ridiculous with goals scored. Where is he? 3rd in all time behind Rooney and Alan Shearer, right? Or is he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Third, Guerrero's going to take over him soon, but Jay's 3rd.
Yeah, Gro's going to get there soon enough. But yeah, for me, Andy Cole gets in there. I think he was the better out of him and Dwight York in scoring goals. Dwight York arguably could say he was a better player, but I think Andy Cole was a better goal scorer. And I actually dreamed one day that we could have a Rooney and Andy Cole partnership. That would just be ridiculous with Rooney and Beckham, Ronaldo and Beckham on the other side. Oh God. I'm
Coach, I'm surprised you've not actually put York with him, if I'm being honest with you. If you're doing a partnership,
because
surely you would have put them together, because they were iconic.
Rooney could do everything York could do and more, and that's why if Rooney played with Cole, I think we would have got the same plus more. I think York was a fantastic footballer, but Rooney could do so much more. I understand the comment there that without York, that combination itself was just perfect. It's not Premier League, but the Juventus game is perfect example of that. Just that partnership working wonderfully. But I just feel like if you could take one of them out, I mean, you could take out Cole with Van Nistelrooy, of course, but Rooney and York, take them out with Rooney scoring prowess to add as well. Nah, I just think Rooney and Cole would just be perfect. So that's my 2.
Right. Well, to be fair, at least someone's put some respect on calling them, because obviously, for me personally, I don't.
English Peter Morrison.
Yeah, no, bloody hell! Wow. I've not
and Dwight York is the Caribbean David Connolly.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Oh my god. Oh,
sorry.
It's just triggering
to be man.
Oh god.
I'm gonna give someone a heart attack.
Yeah, well, anyways, listen, to finish off, obviously my front two, first and foremost has to be Ruud van Nistelrooy. You know, I think Joe has gone on waxing lyrically about Van Nistelrooy. Obviously, Barry still got nightmares about that episode. But, you know, for me personally, absolutely phenomenal. As Barry said, the guy, anything in the box, he's putting in the back of the net. You know, he was so clinical, and you could always rely on him to score. You know, Champions League, any big game, it didn't matter to him. The guy wanted to score. He was always in the right place at the right time. And as the boys have said already, he's absolutely phenomenal. The second person for me was definitely more difficult. You know, I've Cole, Rooney, and Cantona. I think Cantona, in terms of how influential he was to the sort of outcome, what happened afterwards in terms of Castle 92, they still refer to him as the catalyst. The person that allowed them to become the people they were, you know, obviously 5-10 years down the line. So I think that's important. You can't really discredit that. But for me personally, it has to be Wayne Rooney. It just has to be. I think he's probably massively underappreciated. I think a lot of people don't respect his ability. You know, they always label him as someone that was very doggish. And yes, he was like that. He was a bit like a bulldog in some sense in terms of the way he, especially the early stages, he looked like he was going to get sent off at every single game. You have to calm him down. But yeah, in terms of his technical ability, he was absolutely phenomenal. That season that Ronaldo left, I was worried, but Rooney stepped up once again, got the black gloves on, scored about 20 headers in one season. But yeah, I just think Rooney for me, and obviously as Kojo mentioned as well, in terms of his partnerships, he's been a partner to literally everyone, like from Welbeck to Lewis Sahar, Smith, Berbatov, Tevez, Hernandez, and every single one he's complimented them, and that's a credit to him. You know, it's not easy to form partnerships, and he's done it with every single player he's played with, and I think every single one of them would put their success down to Rooney and his unselfishness. So for that reason, he has to make it into the team for me, and that does finish off this week's topic. So if you haven't already, make sure you drop a like, subscribe, let us know. I'm gonna read all the comments. I want to see everyone's 11s. Do you agree with Kojo? Do you agree with Joe? Do you agree with Barry? We're gonna put it on a poll at some point. But let us know who you agree with. Who would you put in your front two? I feel like the defense was kind of easy in terms of we all kind of agreed with each other. But apart from that, let us know who you think makes it in your team, and make sure you stay tuned for all the fantastic content. We've got a lot of transfer news, a lot of updates with Sancho. I believe we had a transfer show earlier today. Check that out as well. That was a fantastic show with a journalist as well. So obviously a lot of in the know information. But apart from that, it's been your host, Osman. Thank you very much to my panel. Barry, don't worry, we don't have a winner this week. But if you want, we'll pretend you won it. So it's 1-1.
I'm not taking it.
Anyways, it's been your host, Osman. Peace. In a bit, boys.
Bye.
Happy days. Just like